What's going on, y'all? We back for another JJK Modulo chapter reaction. We on chapter 16 this week. We just left off with the battle between Dabra of the Disconte clan of the Sumerians and Yuka Akatsu starting their duel. And Yuka, much like her great uncle, I guess, jumps into battle and immediately summons Maharaga. Excuse me. So now we're going to get into chapter 16 where we're going to see the continuation of that. The last chapter ended with Maharaga's wheel starting to spin, starting to adapt. So let's see how he adapts to my man Dabra. All right. The 10 Shadows technique is an inherited technique of the Zenin clan, one of the former big three clans. It is a technique that uses shadows as an intermediary to summon Shikigami. The Gojo clan has designated it as a forbidden technique, only permitting Yuka Okatsu to make use of the ability of selected Shikigami without summoning them. Okay. 8-handled, sword, divergent, Sila, divine, general, Maharaga. All right, let's go. Editor's note, the Zenin clan's treasure. Okay. Chapter 16, Light of Murderous Intent. All right, let's see what we got going right now. The Shikigami, no sorcerer in history has been able to tame except for Ryomen Sukuna, formerly in Fushiguro Megumi's body. In practice, it can only be used in combat by dragging one's opponents into an exorcism ritual intended to kill all involved, including the user. The participants in this ritual are Akatsu Yuka and Dabra Karaba. Let's go, baby. Yo, let's see what Maharaga got for this man. Akatsu Yuka is already in a state of suspended death. The ritual will not end until Dabra Karaba is killed or Maharaga is destroyed, at which point Akatsu Yuka's death will be guaranteed. Dun, dun, dun. And we see, all right, so we're pretty much resuming now. We see in the background all the shards of light, the rods of light that he sent flying through, that Dabra sent flying through Maharaga at the end of last chapter. Maharaga's wheel is spinning, and let's see what's about to happen now. Okay, Dabra's stepping down from all of his rods and whatnot, or they're breaking, I can't tell really. And then Maharaga's jumping up. Dabra giving that big fist, that big right hook. And Maharaga giving him a nice roundhouse kick, sending his ass flying. Okay. Whoa, but he's stopping himself, put the hand out on the building, bracing myself. Let's go. Puts the hand up. He's about to shoot a beam out his hand like he's Iron Man. Oh my God. Yo, Dabra is not to be played with, yo. What the hell? And the beam shoots off Maharaga's arm. Oh my God. The freaking, the wheel turns. Is he gonna grow his arm back? His arm is back, just like that. Wow. And Dabra, or no, Maharaga is grabbing a piece of the building. Is about to yeet that hoe at him. We got next. The summoning of a spiritual organism. Given the nature of cursed spirits, it would seem that spiritual organisms are an Earth-exclusive cursed energy life form. Okay, it isn't merely an unbreakable puppet fighting in a sorcerer's stead. There's something more, some kind of ability. Interesting. Okay, and Dabra just kind of got the same look on his face he always kind of got, just kind of like lurking, just kind of like, yeah, all right, this is going on, whatever. And Maharaga just looked like how he always looked, like they just put a bunch of that cocaine in his teeth. Anyway, they standing off, and now the next panel, they're just both gone, which means that they moving fast, all right? They're moving real fast. And boom, just like that, Dabra's putting the hand up. There's a bunch of little sparkles, so you know a bunch of about to shoot out. Maharaga just looking, and yeah, just exactly what I said. That shit just ripped off. It looks like it ripped off the top half of Maharaga's body, basically. So let's see what's going on. Oh, but maybe that's just the way that the art was looking. He jumps into Maharaga, gives him 2 feet to his face, and shoots a beam out of his feet Yo, this guy is something different, yo. And now it's a bunch of the light beams going across, like it's a light show. And they're raining down on the city. This is madness, bro. This thing is getting accustomed to my technique. Yo, no, but for real, Dabra might be stronger than Sukuna. I don't know, my boy, but maybe. Maybe. The repeating spins of the wheel on its back and the recovery that follows. The Zenin clan's sacred treasure, eight-handled sword divergent, Sila divine, general, Maharaga, its ability. Let's go. Yo, and the buildings are just falling apart at this point from all of the light shards going through that. The ability to adapt to any and all phenomena. Well, we know this. The ultimate counter move. He don't know this. The upper don't know this. He learned it. He learned it today. And then, okay, I guess we're cutting back to Maru and Tsurugi now. I've been catching up, well, rereading the entire stories because I'm going to start dropping videos. So definitely subscribe for that. And yeah, the relationship between Maru and Tsurugi, the way that it's kind of grows throughout the series so far, and then the relationship between Cross and Yuka, very interesting. Definitely going to do videos on both of those, so be on the lookout for that. But anyway, so they're back to their fight that they were about to have at the end of a couple chapters ago. Didn't know you could use a sword, Tsurugi says to Maru. Maru says, this was Cross's sword. And now they clashing swords. They having a sword duel. They going back and forth. I never thought that Maru would actually fight Tsurugi at this point, I'm not gonna lie. Why would Gege make a character that is less powerful than Gojo and Sukuna when Yuji might be stronger than Gojo and Sukuna? That's a fair point that you got there. We don't know what's going on with Yuji, but we can only assume that he's still in his prime and still youthful and still max jujutsu ability at this current moment. So what you're saying is correct. But I would say that Yuji at the end of the story isn't necessarily on Gojo's level. It was still a combination of everybody that was there working together to beat Sukuna at the end of the day. But current Yuji is probably on that Gojo level. But anyway, so they're fighting back and forth. Maru's third eye is open. Clang, clang, clang. So this is Tsurugi. By discarding cursed energy and a curse technique, he gained immense physical ability through a heavenly restriction. I see now that I'm fighting. It clears up the question I had about after hearing about him from Yuka. Okay. Oh bad. Let me move this. All right, there we go. Question. How does cursed energy enhancement differ from a physical gift, heavenly restriction? That's a good question. Answer. Due to the absence of energy. We still get here? Okay, there we go. Answer. Due to the absence of cursed energy, their movements cannot be predicted through the flow of cursed energy. Okay. So basically, just harder to follow them specifically off their cursed energy signature because they ain't really got it like that. How troublesome. Until I get used to it, every strike effectively becomes a surprise attack. Okay. Yes, let's go. Excuse me. Furthermore, Tsurugi manipulates the cursed energy within his weapon. Why am I going in and out real quick? Furthermore, Tsurugi manipulates the cursed energy within his weapon to perform techniques. I had thought that cursed tools merely compensated for Tsurugi's lack of cursed energy. I see that explains it. Cursed tools don't run out of cursed energy. Of course, this most likely depends on its grade. Tsurugi's fundamental approach to jujutsu combat is vastly different from that of other sources. Let me get some water real quick. All right. And let me just pull this up on my other phone. All right, there we go. I see that explains it. Curse tools don't run out of curse energy. Of course, this most likely depends on its grade. Tsurugi's fundamental approach to Jujutsu combat is vastly different from that of other sorcerers. Alright. And they're just still going at it back and forth. It's fine if Dabra is the only one to leave. Like his sister's curse, the ritual's range shouldn't reach beyond this planet. If he leaves, the ritual will be nulled, and Yuka's life will be saved. Dabra won't be returning to Samura. He himself is also included in the conditions of his sister's curse. That's crazy. Even if Dabra were the only one to enter the effective range of the Disconti tribe leader's curse, it would still be risky. It would be a different story if we used the black rope, but we don't have time for that, do we? Yeah, we gotta find where my man Miguel is at, right? Was that Miguel that was telling them about the squid in that one chapter? But anyway, I think that the Disconti tribe are going to be the real villains of this story. If we want to call it a villain at the end of the day, we'll have to see how that kind of develops towards the end of this. But I think that has been built up, and I might do a video on this as well. It's been built up for the Disconti tribe to be the main antagonist later on, after this whole debacle between Dabra and Yuka and the human race and the Vermilions is settled. Anyway, it would be a different story if we used Black Rope. Maru, I win this duel. Leave this planet. Let that be the rule of this duel. Yeah, like this is the duel that matters, Tsurugi. Anyway, you're a warrior, aren't you? Simple domain, maculation. You held back, didn't you? You didn't fight with your full power. He's thinking back to when Dura was in the fight with Dabra, and Dabra didn't want to beat up Dura's face, basically. I'm sorry, Dabra. I understand how you felt now. After what happened to our siblings, I'm terrified of losing our friends as well. I don't want anyone to be hurt or killed anymore. It's clear that Maru got severe PTSD, and you call yourself a warrior? You dare? Very well. I won't hold back. I'm fighting to kill. And Loki, I think that Maru, full power, kind of wipes the floor with Tsurugi a little bit. Anyway, don't die on me. Don't die on me, like literally. He told him don't die on him. All right. They jumping around. This is an interesting way that they drew this panel. It's sideways. Oh, it's because this man is standing on air just sideways like this. Yo, that's crazy. The world just Mario and Cross's technique, chaos and order. Yo, so it's not just levitation, but they can turn everything on its side, basically. Like, yo, they can just control the equilibrium of things, I guess. That's interesting. And I believe that's the end of the chapter right there. Yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts. Definitely subscribe for the videos I'm about to be dropping about this. But again, I want to know, specifically, I want to know your thoughts on whether or not we're going to see the Disconti tribe later in the story. We're kind of at the halfway point, I believe, around of where the story is going to be. So I wouldn't be too surprised if there's still more to go after the fight with Dabra and Yuka. And we got to see what happened with Cross and have all of these different character arcs kind of come full circle within the next 14 or so chapters. That being said, thank you and have a great day. Goodbye.